Hi.
Hi, we're so truly honored to have you here with us today, Jens.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Lovely. Jens, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background, where you come from, and how did the idea of entrepreneurship come to you?
Yeah, I'm a Växjö guy, really. I was born and raised here. I've been living here for all my life. Once, when I was around 25 years old, I moved to Stockholm because many people moved to Stockholm, but I realized that Växjö is a nice place for me. I think the size is perfect, and the social network is here, and so I decided to stay. So I'm going to continue living here. My journey as an entrepreneur really started when I was offered a job at a company called Scandinavian PC Systems back in 1989 after high school and military service. I couldn't decide what I wanted to study in the university, so I thought maybe I should work for a year or two to decide what I wanted to study. And during that time, I was offered a job in the customer support department at Scandinavian PC Systems, SPCS, who is now Visma SPCS. Back then, it was a small company. I was around number 10 of employees there. And it was going to be a fantastic journey for me during the 90s. So from 1989 and a little more than 10 years ahead, it was a fantastic journey to see how a company grew from around 10 employees to around 150 when I left in 2001. So So my plans to study in the university, I could never realize them because it was way too fun to stay at Scandinavian PC Systems. So I couldn't leave. So.
Yeah, I can understand the feeling when you're having fun. It's hard to go back to. You said that when you joined Visma, you were the 10th employee. Now it's a fairly large company. Yeah. What learning do you think you got from joining a company at such a small stage and then taking it all the way up? What learning did you?
Lots of learning. The most important learning from that part of my life is that it really is the marketing and sales that makes the difference. I mean, SPCS had competitors back then, like Hogia and Edison and Exor and some others. But during the beginning, the early years of the 90s, SPCS grew to be the market leader with around 50% market share. And the easy way to explain that is that all focus was on marketing and sales, while the other one had their main focus on the product. So I think that's an important learning from them, the importance of marketing and sales.
Yeah, and perhaps that's the learning that you take to all the other things that you've been doing. Brilliant. How did you get interested in entrepreneurship?
By being at Scandinavian PC Systems, I'm not from an entrepreneurial family. I had no idea that I could be an entrepreneur when I started there. But when I saw everything happening there and the company growing and all the network around the company with resellers, agents, suppliers, partners, and everything, I thought that, this is paradise. I want to do this for all my life.
Yeah, perfect. So what would you describe as the key milestones in this journey when you look back at your time at Visma and your early entrepreneurship days? What do you think were the key milestones for you?
The most important thing was that I was given this huge responsibility and trust from the beginning. I was around 20 years old when I started there, and after 1 year I was given a daughter company to run by myself, more or less. So I mean, I couldn't understand how they could trust me, 22 years old, forming my own daughter company with all the purchase and sales and marketing, and start building that company. So but I grew enormously, I have to say. There I learned a lot of things, and I got some confidence, and I mean the bosses there, they gave me the space to grow, and so that's something I'm bringing with me now that I'm the old guy. I really like to think that I give my employees a lot of space to grow, not being there, not looking over their shoulders, not telling them what to do, but letting them find their own spaces and growths.
Brilliant. So the daughter company that was given to you within 1 year, that sounds so interesting. And that says so much about the power of trust in the employees and the relationships that you build with the people you work with. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the company that you got right after Visma?
Yeah, I can tell you. It was called Scandinavian PC Products, so SPCP instead of SPCS. And the idea was to sell hardware as well. SPCS is a software company developing software for accounting and invoicing and so on. But in the early 90s, not all companies had their own PCs and computers and so, and hardware was still quite expensive. So the idea was to sell really cheap hardware in order to be able to sell software to more companies. So the more companies that has hardware, the more companies will buy software. So we had this idea of bundling hard and software and pre-install things and make it really easy for the customer. Just push the power button and everything will work. So so that was the idea of the daughter company then. But 4 or 5 years later, hardware had become cheap in all other channels as well. So I mean, the mission was completed in a way, and all the small companies started having computers and started buying software. So so then the hardware, we stopped the hardware selling, and then I was given a position as the sales manager of the mother company. So so that was also a huge step for me.
Perfect. So when you talk about when you said that hardware became cheap everywhere, and at that time perhaps innovation was a part that was really important. So how do you think you have been able to allow innovation within your startups?
I think innovation is very important. It's very important when it comes to the product itself, of course, but also innovation in pricing and packaging and how to reach the market and how to cooperate with partners. I think there is a lot of room for innovation in a lot of places, and I think one of the most successful innovations that I've been participating in is in Fortnox, when we found a way to cooperate with the accounting companies. That is really the turbo for Fortnox growth, is cooperation with the accounting companies, and we found a way to cooperate with them that made them want to promote Fortnox for their customers, and so innovation in cooperation, you could say.
Brilliant. So talking about Fortnox, you have been working with two really large companies in Stockholm, both Visma and Fortnox. What are your learnings from working in a large company?
I've been working in both companies. I started when they were small. Fortnox, I was from the very beginning. So from small to bigger companies, really. And I think there are some things in a small company that you would like to save as long as you can. I mean, the feeling that everyone is important, that everyone helps each other. You can try things without asking 5 levels of managers, and I mean, there is another speed, freedom. I sometimes say it's like playing attacking football, not defending football. Big companies tend to play defending. They defend what they already have. Small companies tend to attack to gain more. And I'm an attacking player, I think.
Yeah. You're a football person. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So if you'd say to compare between a small company and a large company in the context of Växjö, looking at the startup ecosystem of Växjö, what would you think is better, or what is your learning if someone has to decide between a large and a small company in Växjö?
I like the Småland way of thinking around economics, and so some say that we are sticky also, but I think it's important. There's a lot of companies that gets a lot of money from the beginning, and I mean lots of millions, and so, and I like to do things in a economic way, so to say. So I think that has to be in the company's DNA from the beginning, and I think it's that mindset here in Växjö. So I like that. And I also think that we are quite stubborn when it comes to, we don't give up. If something doesn't work, we away maybe and try some other thing or so. So
you can't be an entrepreneur without being stubborn. That's the most important thing. We have some interesting questions from our audience here. Let's just take a couple of questions here. Anna has a question that I'm Anna with 3 colleagues. We are developing a startup idea for women's safety. Please feel free to connect with me. All right, so she doesn't have a question, but she has her connection here. There's a question for you, Jens, from Nemalab. Should startups also focus more on sales and marketing, and how? Most tech startups that I meet are usually working a lot on product and completely ignoring sales and marketing in early stage. So when we talk about early stage, what are your thoughts on this, Jens?
Yeah, I agree, 100%, 200%. I think I have been working as a coach for some small companies through Almi and also directly over some years now, and I think the most common thing that what people have to rethink about is that you have to think on how to sell your product or service. Lots of starting companies, they are so filled up with creating the perfect product or offering the perfect service, but maybe they haven't thought just as much on how to sell it, how to attract their target groups. I think that's super important. There are 2 things you need to know when you start a company. You have to know the business that you are starting, and you have to know how to sell it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have had the experience of working in different countries at both small and large level before you started your own Colix Systems.
Yeah.
Would you like to tell us a bit about what you do, a bit about your company?
The Colix Systems company?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, the idea to the company came to me when I was still at Fortnox, because Fortnox, yes, they have a common platform for everyone. So, I mean, Fortnox offer accounting for 99 crowns per month, and it has cost maybe 40 or 50 million crowns to develop that software, and every customer can use it for as little as 99 crowns per month. And that's possible because all customers are on the same platform. So every hour of development, the cost for that is shared. I think 50,000 customers or something right now. So I mean, even though it's very cheap for every customer, you can still spend a lot of money in the product development. And the idea with Colix is to do exactly the same thing, but we don't offer bookkeeping and we don't offer accounting or invoicing or salary. We offer a platform for communication, documentation, information. So it's the same structure, but different different applications.
Lovely. That sounds a pretty innovative thing and on its own. And I'm sure that you must have had your fair share of challenges as well in the beginning. Would you like to share with us a little bit about what initial challenges you came across?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My first challenge is that I can't code. I can't write software. I have in the market side or the customer contact side of the companies. So my first challenge was to find someone who could build this platform. So I invited a lot of great developers in Växjö. I invited one by one for lunch, and I pitched my idea and said that, do you want to build this kind of platform? We are not going to sell hours. We are going to sell licenses on products, and so on. I couldn't attract. I was too bad at sales then, I think, because no one was attracted. But then in 2017, I ran into a guy from Kalmar, and when we talked about this, he said that, I'll build that platform for you. So give me 2 years and I'll build it. So he started in autumn 2017, and around the year shift 1920, it was ready. So we formed this company together back then.
Brilliant. So that is also the power of networking. So you went to Kalmar and you met that person, and eventually he turned out to be an asset for your company.
Yeah. So that's the first challenge, and then of course the challenge is to find customers and define groups and decide on pricing and packaging and find the right people to hire in the next step and so on. Yeah. So there are lots of challenges, of course.
Yeah.
It has been. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you have to be stubborn with the challenges to be an entrepreneur and move on. What is your current focus at Colix Systems, and what are your future plans?
Yeah, now we had a kickoff the other Friday, where we said that we are now leaving the startup phase. We have had the startup phase now for a year and a half, and now we are from after summer, we are going into a growth phase, and what that means in the daily life is that we have to start building some structures around things. For example, sales. We have been hunting everyone. We have been eager for every customers, and that of course is good in a sense, but also it's. If you are going to be able to scale, you have to decide which target groups do we want as customers, what kind of product and what kind of functionality do we want to supply, and you have to be a little more structured and decided and in order to scale up. So we had some new investors in the company, so we have some money now to start spending in the autumn, and we're gonna hire some more developers. We're gonna lift the marketing. We have been very, very anonymous this far, but now we're gonna start marketing in August. We're gonna hire some more salespeople. So I mean, from August on, it's focus on growing. Now we have a great product. We have a little more than 100 customers. We have a little more than 100 great customers who likes us and who likes our product and who talks well about us in front of their friends and so. I mean, now it feels like now's the time to where things are going to start happening.
Perfect. Congratulations. That sounds wonderful that you're now into the growth phase. Would you like to share a little bit how Växjö, the ecosystem in Växjö, has been helpful for your company to move from startup phase to a growth phase? So if you talk about scaling, how has Växjö been a good city in that way?
Yeah, in this area, when it comes to software development, I think Växjö is a really, really strong city with lots of knowledge and lots of people knowing. I mean, I know Fortnox and Visma Specialist quite well, and I mean, and there is IT in the air in some sense. So and we have our office at Videum Science Park, who is close to Linnaeus University. So we have a great cooperation with them. So we have internships, we have students coming over to do their works, and we have also we also hire students on an hourly basis. So during the spring we have had 9 students working for us on an hourly basis, maybe in average 10 hours a week or something. So both on the development side and also on the customer contact side. So that's a perfect way of getting to know a lot of people. And I mean, the people who likes us and the people, if it's in both directions, it's very likely that we will hire them full time when they are ready with their studies. So
brilliant.
Yeah, so we are, besides Peter, my co-founder, and me, we have 4 full-time employees, and they all come directly from the university. So that's also an idea, to hire young, hungry, motivated people eager to meet reality, coming out from the university and eager to start working and start building their careers. So we are like an incubator in reality, in some sense.
Wow. One of our earlier speakers, Oliver Rosengren, he also talked a lot about Linnaeus University and the importance of academy in innovation and startup.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome that you're hiring people straight from the university and you're tapping on that huge potential that we have here. So many international students come there, and it's great to have them right there. A question that I get quite often is about the language. People who come from different countries have difficulty in working in companies that do not operate in Swedish only. How do you think we can counter that problem, and how do you work with that problem in your companies?
Mm-hmm. When it comes to the development side, I think language is no problem. I mean, you don't have to be Swedish speaking to work as a developer, but if you are on the customer contact side, I think you have to speak Swedish, because most of our customers do. But we don't have any employee at our company who doesn't speak Swedish, but it could very well be. I mean, we are talking to the university people about internships and so I mean, we are very, very close, I think, to and we have found our own ways to cooperate with the university. So and having the office at Videum, who is like 5 minutes walk from campus, is great. So I mean, people can come and go on short like 2 hour slots or so to work between during the day.
That sounds wonderful. I'm from Linnaeus University myself, and it feels like when you're at the university, it's impossible not to catch on to that Swedish, the small phrases and the Swedish more than language. It's the culture that kind of latches on to you. I love it when you said IT is in the air.
Yeah.
And is it easy for you to find talent in Växjö that is good with IT?
Yes, so far I have to say that it hasn't been a problem, and I think it's because we are close to the university. So I mean, those 9 students who have been working during the spring on an hourly basis, I mean, 3 of them are software developers on their way to finish their studies. So I think that's one way to find, and we are looking for junior people rather than senior, because we believe that you should be able to come to our company and grow within the company. We have an idea of how to make that in the best way. So
yeah, absolutely. And with the world changing so fast and technology coming in so rapidly, it's always good to have young and fresh energy in the company. And awesome. Great. So Sven Lofgren would like to know, so do you think building teams is the first step when you talk about startups? Is building teams the first thing to do?
Yeah, it could be. I think that from the very beginning, you have to think about how to sell your product. That is really important. I mean, you can't take a lot of costs before knowing how to create income. So, but I think you can start the employer branding work also from the beginning. I mean, there has to be an attract. There are a lot of companies in Växjö hiring the good developers, and you have to be top of mind in some way, or you have to be attractive in some way. And I think that work with the employer branding, that you can start that early, because if you have an idea that the company you found should be a fast growing company, you have to have people wanting to work at you. You can't run after every people. I mean, when I was the CEO of Fortnox, we hired 40 people a year as an average during those 5 years, and you have to have people wanting to work for you, so that you can't have 40 processes a year. So I think that's important. And I think we are the if you like to work in a small organization where everyone is really important, I think we are a perfect place to work at. If you want to work at a big place where you are one among a lot of other people, maybe Visma or Fortnox is better than. So.
Brilliant. So coming back to building teams in the beginning, startups don't have so much money in the beginning mostly. Do you think that offering shares or making co-founders is a good idea?
Yeah, I think so. It depends, I would say. For us, it's a great idea to onboard investors. I think we didn't do that from the very beginning. I think we had the possibility to finance the company ourselves in the very early stage. So because if you let investors in already from the beginning, you have to give away a lot of the company for quite little money. So it's better if you can create some value first. So and we made our second round of investing now. We had a round in February 2020 as well. So yeah, but but the good thing if they provide not only with money but also with knowledge and network and experience. So we had some new investors coming in now, and we are now directly after summer we're going to form some advisory boards around different topics where we want them to participate. So we're going to have an advisory board around marketing. We're going to have an advisory board around how to sell to construction companies, for example, and so I mean, yeah, and that's also an idea that I bring from Fortnox, because I had 3 advisory there that worked really, really well. One around product development, where we had a lot of accounting companies in a structured way could provide us with ideas on how we should improve the product. We had another board around digital marketing, where we had 2 of the best in Sweden around that, and the third group we had was young people around 20 years old, because we wanted to know when they're going to start companies, how can we make sure they're going to choose Fortnox accounting and invoicing. So where do we have to be, and how do we have to talk to them to create traction.
Brilliant. You've already touched a bit on this topic, but if you go a little bit deeper into it about when you want to raise money at the really early stages of a startup, what advice would you give in terms of pitching? How do you pitch to the investors? You seem to be super good at this.
It's hard to say that there is one solution. I mean, it depends on what you're doing and what you're aiming for, and so. But I think you have to be. I think you have to make them understand that you have an idea on how to sell it, because I think that's investors like to hear that, not just how great product you're going to build or how great service you're going to offer, but also how are you going to sell it to the target groups. And the more specific you are, the better, I think. Which target groups should we aim for? How are we going to sell it? What's the pricing? What's the packaging? How should we sell it? And the more ready thought you are, I think the more solid you sound, and the more interested the investors will be, I think. So make sure you have ideas and plans for everything.
Be prepared before you go to the investor.
Yeah.
Northwind Stockholm would like to know that does bringing investors early put pressure on the direction of business for a startup, like the original idea? Do you think that puts pressure on the direction of a business for a startup? He further says that, I mean, what if they have different priorities or vision for the product? How do you balance that?
Yeah. In this Colix Systems case now, we have chosen the investors. So we know that those who have invested in the company now, they will give us the freedom of running the operations on a daily basis. They will not be there looking over our shoulders or pointing in directions, and so they are here with the money, and they are here with the network, and they are some of them are inboxed in an advisory board around a subject, and so I feel that we have the rules or the expectations ready. So our investors now are mostly local investors that I know before, more or less. So we have a great relation, I have to say. So yeah.
Perfect. Now we should talk a little bit about Växjö, the startup ecosystem in Växjö. What kind of networks do you think are available for newcomers or someone who would like to bring their business to Växjö, or they want to start something here? What is available for them?
That's. I think there are some networks of different kinds. I mean, there are BNI, and there are other networks. There's this management network. I forgot the name now, but I think there are some networks. But and I also think that I mean, if you rent in a company hotel like Videum or World Trade Center or the old military I11, I think you can learn to know your neighbors in a way. But when it comes to networking, I think my thought around that is I want to decide. I want to create my own network, so to say. If I join BNI, I have to accept the people that are there. They are the network. I can't affect that in any way. So I try to my way of networking is that I try to book every lunch when I'm in Växjö. I try to have someone I want to meet and hopefully wants to meet me. So we can have a common exchange of ideas and experience and so and when lunches are not enough, I think breakfast is great. I have a lot of breakfasts on the same theme, so I think that's perfect time to use for networking, and then I can decide more which people I meet than if I'm joining an already build up network. So
yeah,
but of course,
exactly.
if you come as a newcomer to Växjö, that is not easy. You don't know, but yeah. But I think or you can participate in some events. Almi has some great events occasionally, and I think there are Expansiva Växjö that yeah, I think there are events that you can participate in and try to start learning people. So
yeah, I think that's a really important tip that you just gave, that you need to know the right kind of people. Networking is one thing, but then how to work with the right kind of people. How do you find out, and how do you know that this person is the right person for my company? What are the things that you look for in a person?
when we hire people, or
yeah, when you hire people,
yeah. First thing is that we hire people, not CVs. So it's much more about who you are than I mean what your CV looks like, because knowledge you can provide, but personality it's hard to change. So we hire people, and we have a thought around what kind of people we want to hire. I think that the social skills are often undervalued. I mean, especially if you are on a customer contact side. I mean, we have to have social skilled people, because we have to make the customers and partners like us, and we have to make them feel that it's nice to hang around with colleagues. It's nice to do business with colleagues. It's nice to be a partner. I mean, yeah. So that's an important thing, I think. I think especially big companies, they tend to just hire CVs, many of them anyway. So I think persons, because we are building a team with chemistry that has to work, and yeah. So instead of putting 5 CVs on top of each other, we form a group with 5 people.
Brilliant. And being social is not something we Swedes do really well, and sometimes it's a little extra effort to be social with the kind of lifestyles that we have here.
Yeah.
But if we talk about well, startups are really demanding. They take a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of energy. How would you say, how important is work-life balance in a startup before someone burns out completely? How important, what do you think is the weight of work-life balance?
Yeah, I have a lot of thoughts around that. The first thing is that I think success is mostly created by working smart, not hard. So I think working smart 40 hours a week is worth more than working hard 60 hours a week. So try to be smart rather than spending more time. That's one thing. And the other thing is that when I look at my own life, I see that I have one life. I don't have a working life and a private life. I have a life. Sometimes I work, sometimes I do other things. So for me, I can it's no problem what day of the week it is or what time of the day it is. If I feel that I need to work and that is accepted by family, and so I can work. And on the other hand, if I feel that I need recreation, or I need to do something else, I can do that when I feel that I need that. I try not to be boxed in the 9 to 5 thinking. So, and I think that freedom takes down a lot of the stress. So when that's possible, I think that's a good way of thinking.
I completely agree. And Växjö particularly has that kind of environment where you can just walk into a coffee shop with your laptop and you can sit and work there for all day, all night. And it has that kind of environment that helps you in your work-life balance. So it's a beautiful city that way. All right. What do you think about sustainability in startups, and how do you make sure that your startups are sustainable?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we are since we are a software company, we are sustainable in some sense, and the what we customers in forms of smarter communication, for example. It makes life more sustainable, I think, for where you don't have to meet maybe that much, or you can solve things in digital ways. And I think that the COVID-19 situation has really pushed the digitalization in many companies. So yeah, I don't know really what to.
Yeah, and COVID-19, how does that affect? How has that affected your companies or overall Växjö? How has the effect been on business?
Yeah, I think there's both a positive and a negative side of it. The positive side is that, as I said, digitalization has been more on the agenda, even in sectors that maybe are not so digital, like construction and and transport and those things. I think we have a lot of customers in sectors that are maybe not normally so digital, but they have been pushed now by COVID-19. The negative side is that we can't meet people in the same way. I mean, if you're new to a market, and if you as I said, if you want to play the attacking football, and so you have to, it's much more easy if you meet people through Teams or Zoom. It's not the same. You can't see the reactions in the same way. You can't change the argumentation if you feel that something is not working.
I completely agree. Completely agree with you. It's so not the same thing. And the idea, the human interaction that we used to have, it's not the same with digital meetings. But do you think that after COVID, it's not going to be the new normal for people to stay digital, or do you think people are going to go back to the old ways, or are they going to stay the same?
My guess is that we're going to go halfway back. I think we're going to meet a little more again. We're going to work at the office a little more. But I also think that everyone has seen that it's possible to work from home in combination with working at the office, and so I think it will go back. But I think some things will change for more permanently. It will be very interesting to see how everything is formed now after.
And not just in the business world and startup world, but in every single profession. I think is the same now. So after COVID, let's see what happens. If we talk about a little bit about innovation, Jens, we in Sweden, we represent only 0.13% of the global population, yet we are so good with innovation. We are on top on innovation. What do you think makes Sweden so innovative?
I think that one thing is that everyone has a chance to be innovative. I mean, maybe not the same, but anyway, compared to a lot of other places in the world, I think everyone has quite a good chance to be innovative, and so and I think we have an infrastructure that is good. We have a way of there's a lot of help and support and coaching and so that we can find from different places, and
I completely agree. There's social stability, and then there's easy access to government support, and there are so many things that are happening at all times. In Växjö, in university itself, there are so many courses that are offered for free in terms of languages and in terms of Swedish language.
Your answer was better than mine. So.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about gender equality and inclusiveness. Växjö is a very inclusive city, and there are female entrepreneurs everywhere, and you see them in every sector. How do you see that, and how do you ensure that in your own companies?
Yeah, I think my experience from both Visma and Fortnox is that the mix is the best. I mean, a group of only males or a group of only females doesn't work as well as a mixed group. So and we make sure we are people founders. We are 2 men, so that's 100% men. but then the full-time employees are 3 women and 1 man. So I mean, we are as equal as you can be. And
perfect.
And when it comes to the 9 students working on an hourly basis, I think it's 5-4 to men versus women. So it's very equal, and I can really feel that the best way is the mix. I mean, so well. Yeah. So
I so completely agree.
Yeah.
It's a different kind of strength when you have a balance and the equal opportunities for everyone. You are also coaching entrepreneurs through your own company. Would you like to tell a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, it's not as much now as it was some years ago, but as I said, both directly and through Almi, I have been coaching some startups and some. I think it's super interesting. The most interesting things for me is that I get a look at how other sectors work. I mean, I have only been in the software development business for all my life, but there are a lot of other interesting sectors, and just to learn how they work, how competition works, how you reach the market and how you develop products, and I have learned so much, and I have also realized that what the best way of running a company in the software development sector, maybe you can't just copy that and think that it will work in the industry sector, for example, or construction. So you have to think something. You have to think a little new when you. But basic things like the importance of knowing how to sell your product or service is, I think, that's common for all companies. So that's very interesting. Yeah. And another great part with being a coach is that you can just think. You don't have to do anything. You can just, you just point.
That's the best part, I guess. What is your learning, Jens, as a coach? What are some of the main challenges that entrepreneurs are facing these days?
There's a lot of challenges, of course. I mean, I think the biggest challenge is how to start attracting customers. I really think there are so many entrepreneurs that are great in forming a product or forming a service, but the challenge is how to attract the first customers. How do I get the first 10 customers? I think that's once you are there, it starts maybe to run a little easier. But the first step there, I think, is a huge challenge. And then, of course, it can be a challenge with financing and so. But yeah. In the business itself, I think that's the big challenge.
I completely agree on that. But if I were to ask you the same question, that how do you attract the first 10 customers? What would your short answer be? I know it's like a whole seminar in itself, but if you could just shorten it and
it is. But I think you have to be in general. You have to try to play down the tension between being the supplier and the customer. So when a supplier meets a potential buyer, it's some tension in the air where I don't want to pay too much, or I don't want to supply too much for too little money. So I think it's a social skill to bring that tension down to two friends sitting together trying to solve something on the customer side. If you can get that picture in the customer head, I think you're a long way on the road to attract them. but otherwise, I have to. I mean, my trick for getting the 10 first customers in Colix was of course to go use my own network and say that, yeah, if we can build this for you, and if you can come here as a customer, we can have some special deals, of course, and yeah, just make it happen. I mean, you don't have to have. I don't think you have to have decided in total how your pricing and packaging and so should look. Just try to make the decision, the buying decision small. Lower the threshold as much as possible. So, yeah.
Perfect. You've said it so beautifully that the first tension between a customer and seller has to, you have to break that in the beginning, and you have to turn it into a friendly conversation rather than a tense. Yeah. So it's again the building of trust from the very beginning. Brilliant. Okay, so we don't have a lot of time left, but we have a lot of questions. So let's see if we can pick up a few. Anna Carlson would like to know, are there any key investor networks in Växjö? How should one find investors for their ideas? So we have an idea, we build it, and everything's ready. Now, how do we go looking for investors?
Yeah, I know there is something called Investerare Sydost, Investors Southeast. That is Växjö and Kalmar, I think. The science parks in Växjö and Kalmar that runs this together. So that could be something. I know a lot of investors, but I don't know if they are connected in some networks or so. I mean, with my background, I happen to know them personally in another way. So, but I think this in Investors Southeast thing. I've been participating in some of their matchmaking meetings, and yeah, that's the tip I can come up with now.
Great, that's very valuable tip. Also, one more point: should you make a formal pitch, or as Jenss, you were saying, first get a lunch meeting? What works best in your experience? Anna Carlson would like to know. Should you first make a formal pitch?
No, I should first try to build a relation. If that's possible. So first the lunch meeting, then the pitch.
Perfect. Sven Lofgren also thinks that free university education and CSN are the drivers for innovation that helps support innovation in Växjö. Neimulat says, love the point on first 10 customers. That should be a course for entrepreneurs. I so completely agree. Should sales be a job for someone responsible for sales in a startup, or the CEO himself should be a salesperson?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, maybe the CEO is the one in the company. So I think the CEO has to be a salesperson. The CEO couldn't be an administrative person from the beginning, because there is nothing to administrate then. So I think, yeah, he has to be a salesperson.
Yeah, and again, social skills. That comes here again. Yeah, the more you meet people. Okay, so Northwind Stockholm says, thank you, Jens and Mehkar, for a great talk. And with this, we're going to round up today's session. We'd like to thank you very much, Jenss, for taking out the time and for such an informative and such an interesting talk with us. We're really, really very honored to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure. So thank you very much.
And thank you to all our audience for joining in. And I hope to see you guys, all of you, again in our next talk on the 23rd. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.